How to write an introduction. The introduction is, first of all, where you put a short abstract. An abstract is a short summary about the content of the study and the main results. It gives the reader a quick view about the essential elements and contributions for the study. So it's very important, short, it's something like 250 words. It is generally what is read first. When you're searching in the large number of research articles which fit to your research, you first read the abstract in order to see if this brings something to your literature review. That is why it's important to care about that. This is also what you write at the end of your research. The whole introduction, including the abstract, is written at the end of the research process. Now, what is the logical outline of the introduction? You start with the main question, you answer why the reader should bother to read the article. Because you want your research articles read. That is why it should be written really carefully. Because this is generally what read first. So it's very important to write it well, to write it at the end. You should show why the topic chosen is important. First of all, from the manager point of view, but second, also from the academia point of view. That is why you can use manager literature. You should show why your research is relevant for practice. For example, you can cite actual or negative examples, show the evolution of the technology dealing with it. For example, that the investments in IoT will triple in the next 10 years, or that service robots or chatbots becoming more and more important, because until, according to study, for example, there's one study having done by Gartner Consulting, they show that until 2025, 95% of worldwide firms will use chatbots in their service. These are examples that you can and even should cite to make it interesting to read your document, even to give the reader really the idea to read your document. That's why the more you use actual examples, the better it is. For example, for the privacy issues, it makes sense to talk about all these counterproductive negative examples where firms collected data and abused customers by using falsely data or by giving it to other parties. That is why it's important not only to read academic literature, but also to read managerial or actual economic literature, showing the importance of the topic.
So use market statistics to show the managerial importance, for example, reports from consulting firms or Statista. The idea is to show the managerial importance of the research topic. So for example, in the context of IoT and smart connected objects, for example, from 2003 to 2020, the number of smart connected objects increased dramatically from not even 1 million to 50 billion of smart connected objects, and from 1 to, let's say, 6 objects by person. In France, 9 from 10 French people have 2 smart connected objects. And Heppelmann and Porter says that the Internet of Things will transform the way people live, mainly in the sectors with high potential such as services, well-being and smart homes. Furthermore, the global smart connected market is expected to grow to almost $120 billion by 2022. The European smart connected object market is expected to grow from 23 billion of US dollars in 2018 to 44 billion of US dollars in 2024. And the key drivers for the emergence of SEO are thus the increasing number of internet users and the development of artificial intelligence and the IoT. So this is one example how you could shape your introduction, which kind of figures you can show for introduction. This is what we used to introduce our research about IoT and smart connected objects. Or another example to describe the managerial context of IoT and smart homes. The global smart home market is expected to grow to $120 by 2022, while the European smart home market is expected from 22 to 44 billion from 2018 to 2024. Given the energy transition needed to reduce emissions, it is essential to optimize and control energy consumption via intelligent controls in smart homes and cities. Again, the key drivers for the emergence of smart homes are the increasing number of internet users, the development of AI and IoT and the major changes in the energy market. Global companies like Google, Amazon and Samsung have entered this enormous market, providing innovative services and products to take advantage of growing demand. Or another example coming from a research and an article we wrote about autonomous vehicles. According to the European Road Transport Research Advisory Council, AI-powered AV or autonomous vehicles will be available on the European market from 2020. By 2023, worldwide sales of AVs driving without human supervision will reach almost 1 million units, according to Gartner 2018. AI-based autonomous vehicles represent a potential market of 55 million vehicles sold in 20 years. Asian countries will have the first place in terms of sales by 2040, and the technologies used are more and more accessible through new technologies such as AI and 5G. So these three examples should show you how you can write an introduction. So the idea is to show actual figures about market evolution in order to show the importance of the markets, in order to show the importance of the technology, in order to show the importance of the society phenomenon, which brings you to the idea and the importance of doing research in the domain and to bring a manager contribution or contribution to practice. So in summary, the idea is to show the importance of your topic for practice, for society, for politics, or for any other stakeholders this research might aim at. That is why it is important to show this directly, firstly in the introduction, to give the reader, to show the reader the importance and the actual nature of your topic. That it is relevant to read and that it's important to read. It increases the interest of your topic and why your subject or research theme is important for all stakeholders. At the same time, you should give the first definition of your relevant concepts. For example, you give the definition of a smart home. For example, like here, a smart home is an intelligent residence equipped with a communications network linking sensors, artificial intelligence, the IoT, household electrical appliances that can be remotely monitored, accessed or controlled, and which provides services that responds to the needs of its inhabitants. Examples are self-alarming thermostats, security systems, smart water and energy controllers, connected body, fat or bathroom scales, smart speakers, and these products aim to achieve comfort and convenience for its users. The main goal is to increase consumers' quality of life, safety, health, a reduction in or automation of household labor, and energy efficiency. So by showing why your subject or theme or technology chosen is important, you should also give a first definition of the main concepts. For example, if you work on privacy concerns, you should give a first definition about privacy concerns. If one of your main concepts is artificial intelligence, you should give a definition about artificial intelligence. If your main concept is IoT or smart connected objects, you should give also a definition about smart connected objects. So the idea is really to give a short outlook about what you're working on.
And you have to clearly show what is your gap. The research question is actually how you close your gap. So what do you bring to literature? You show there what is missing in
literature. So you show the gap
literature.
in the literature. To come back and take the example of our article about SEO and IoT, we introduce it followingly. Innovations fail due to intense competition, changing demand, user reluctance related to reliability, health, psychological dependence, fear, technology fears, privacy concerns. There are barriers to the IoT as well as smart connected objects or smart home acceptance and the development, but scant research investigating customer resistance to technology innovations is there, and so understanding the factors of resistance is important. And finally, we fill a research gap because from 2010 to 2020, after having looked at Business Source Ultimate, the database, only few articles come from academic business science journals. Articles about IoT and smart connected objects were only published in engineering or informatics journals with the following keywords. When we searched for the keywords IoT, smart objects, smart homes, home automation, well-being and marketing. There are only 9 articles coming from IoT and marketing, 0 articles with the keyword smart technology and marketing, 160 articles smart home and home automation, but engineering articles, 0 articles about smart homes and well-being, 2 articles only about smart home and acceptance, 0 articles about smart homes and marketing, 0 articles about smart or connected objects and marketing and well-being. So you see there's a big gap, and research is necessary to fill in the gap to do research about smart connected objects and Internet of the Things, well-being and consumer resistance to these technologies. Therefore, we have the following theoretical research objects to fill in these gaps. We fill in the gap and come into a call for research about IoT technologies, and so research requires more investigations about IoT and technologies and acceptance. We give a definition about IoT and smart connected objects in marketing. We extended the TAM and the UT models by studying antecedents and consequences of the adoption of smart connected objects, such as the role of well-being, the role of trust, the role of privacy concerns and technology fear. And from the managerial point of view, we contribute to the understanding of consumers' expectations to improve smart connected objects services, but also to improve targeting of the connected consumers, and finally to improve communication strategies. So you see here in summary how to structure the beginning of the introduction by showing the relevance of the topic, by giving important figures, statistics, and by coming back by showing shortly the status quo of the literature in order to show which are the gaps that have to be filled up in the literature, in order to do research that fill the research gaps that are identified in the literature. Or to show you another example, we take back again the example about autonomous cars, autonomous vehicles. So the research problem or the research gap and research problem is, nevertheless, consumers still seem to be reluctant to use autonomous cars, and they remain skeptical about the safety. The main barriers for potential users which negatively affect as antecedents the intention of use of autonomous cars are privacy concerns and technology fear, confusion of autonomous cars in unexpected situations, loss of control. So these are the gaps identified in the literature. So the understanding and how and why users accept or reject AI-based autonomous cars is an important research issue and gap. According to numerous calls of research in different journals about artificial intelligence and smart environments, it is important to understand consumer attitudes to the perceptions and to the usage, to the barriers of use of autonomous cars. So this is a gap we want to close, or we intended to close in our research and in our article. And by closing the gaps of the literature, we are doing the following contribution in research about autonomous cars. So we want to shed light on consumers' positive and negative perceptions of AI-based autonomous vehicles. We want to study the impact of AI-based autonomous vehicles on well-being of consumers. We contribute by enhancing the technology acceptance theories, TAM and UT, by introducing new factors to understand AV acceptance, by introducing variables such as performance and effort expectancy, social recognition, perceived hedonism of the car, well-being, which is brought by the car, and technology trust. And there's a gap, as there's research investigating customer resistance to technology innovations in the literature. Understanding the factors of resistance is important for the success of smart products, including autonomous vehicles. This is another example to show you how you can introduce your research or your article or your thesis. So it's important again to show at the same time actual figures coming from statistics, and to show the state of art of the literature, to show which are the research gaps that you want to address in your literature, what is missing in the literature, what gap in the literature you will address in your thesis or your research, what are your managerial and theoretical or perhaps even methodological contributions. You retake back your research question, or you formulate your research question clearly based on these statements. And finally, you announce how your work is organized, and you will announce the different chapters. For example, first we start with an extended literature review about our main concepts, which will lead us to define and to give the definitions of our concepts. Subsequently, we develop and justify our hypothesis, leading to our conceptual framework. In chapter 3, we explain and describe our data and explain our methodology and methods used. In chapter 4, we are presenting our results, which is followed in chapter 5 by the discussion of our results, where we put in line our results with the results of the literature in order to find common results and in order to find differences. Then we show our theoretical and managerial contribution, and we'll formulate our managerial recommendations, and our research is finished by research limits and recommended future directions. So this is one example how you should structure your thesis, and you announce this, how this works organized, and the announcement of the chapters already at the end of your introduction. So all this leads me to say that the introduction is written last, written and rewritten many times, because it is based on the literature. Because once you have read the literature, you know, only then you know the gaps in the research. And that is why I repeat myself, it is important to write the introduction at the latest, at the last chapter, because there you already know your contributions, you know the gaps you will close, and you know why the topic is relevant and important to read and to work on. Just some points about the logical outline. Do a short literature review in which you show the gaps, not a complete one, because we do it in the chapter 2 with a full literature review. To justify the importance of the problem, to create distinctions between past studies and the proposed study in order to show your contribution. This allows you to show the gaps, because this is really what is important in your thesis, the gaps of the existing research to be addressed. After reviewing the literature, identify then the deficiencies, gaps in the past literature as topic that has been explored, for example, with a particular population. So we can do or replicate a study in emerging economies. Literature needs to be replicated to generalize knowledge, so replications are important. With new dependent or independent mediating or moderating variables, which can be introduced in your model, new methods or new tools. So show absolute your theoretical, methodological, and practical contributors for researchers and managers, and show how your study will remedy or address the deficiencies for academia, practice, policy, or companies. And this leads you to show your objectives and formulation of your research questions. And last but not least, as I already said, announce the outlook of the different chapters. This is what we have already.